Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Megabuild Survival with me, the Maximus JK. Today I'm excited to start work on an iron farm. So I just went out about 1,000 blocks to yoink a villager from a village. We're going to bring them over to the spawn chunks, start breeding them up, and get this iron farm build underway.
Time skip.
And it's done. The iron farm is complete. Unfortunately, I forgot to film a lot of this as it was done on a live stream, but the iron farm is complete. It is a design by MineTheFab, which I will link in the top right corner and in the video description. It uses 4 villager cells with 3 villagers apiece, as you can see, and 2 zombies, which bounce up and down. In the video, they have nether portals, which will transfer the golems through, but I decided against it just because messing with portals early game is not really what I want to be doing. And we're already starting to get in iron. Unfortunately, it looks like the farm only runs at nighttime, so I'm not really sure what the reason for that is, but we're getting enough iron that should definitely solve all our problems early game, especially since it's built in the spawn chunks. It'll always be running. So I'm super happy with this farm. It's producing great rates, and I'm really excited to get going this episode. So I'm going to head back to the base, and I'll meet you guys there. Welcome back to the base. As you can see, not much has changed since the last episode. Unfortunately, there was a creeper explosion which took out part of the roof, which I gotta fix here, and it took out one of the bees' nests. So I replaced it with a beehive, and I started breeding these guys back up again, because unfortunately a bee or 2 died in the process. But in our last episode, we worked on Narnia here, which is the underground portion of this base, which is looking really nice. It set the tone for how this base is going to expand and grow over time. You can see that it's a really naturey, lush theme going into here with a lot of these brown and gray blocks, really adding a lot of texture and detail that really make this look exciting. We're using the rooted dirt here, as well as some coarse dirt and copper, weathered copper, and the main block that I'm really looking forward to is these stalactites, these dripstone and pointed dripstone blocks. Now, unfortunately, they take forever to grow, so I think one of the main redstone projects here today is we're going to work on a dripstone farm. One of my goals of this series is to show newer players some of the core mechanics of Minecraft and how to use these mechanics to your advantage. The mechanic I want to show you today is slimestone engines. It requires 2 pistons, 2 sticky blocks, either honey blocks or slime blocks, and 2 observers. Now, if you put them in this configuration, the 2 sticky pistons facing each other and the observers on the sticky blocks, this allows slime blocks and honey blocks to move. The idea is that there would be a slime block machine that goes back and forth. This is an engine, and you use these to power a lot of these machines. You would have honey blocks or slime blocks coming out in 2 sides here, extending further out. Now, with these observers, they quasi-power this piston and push or pull, and when the observer moves, it'll update and push the piston as well. So if we give this piston an update, we can see that it starts moving, and it'll move only until it can't push anymore. So this is kind of the main mechanic of our dripstone farm here. We're going to have 2 sweepers, one up top and one at the bottom, to collect the dripstone that just grows from the top and from the bottom, because we want to make sure that we get both sides with a water column up top. This is going to be a pretty large project, so that's why I'm collecting more honey bottles here in order to craft more of these these honey blocks. Unfortunately, we're pretty low on slime, so I can't really make a lot of these slime block pushers. Instead, a slime chunk will be mined out in the future here. But that's kind of the main redstone project for today, so I'm going to start collecting materials, start working on it. Why do we need all this dripstone? Well, I want to take you to a little cool place called the test world. So if you hop in here, this is our chateau mega build for our upcoming villager trading hall. It uses a lot of dripstone blocks within this main wall that surrounds the entire build. I want to start automating as many of these blocks as possible just to eliminate the amount of grinding. I really want to start getting this build and placing a lot of the blocks down. So we're going to start working on automating a lot of these blocks. As you can see, some of the blocks that we're going to have to really automate is copper. An upcoming copper mega build farm is coming up within the next 2 or 3 episodes in this series. We want to start automating as much as we can in order to eliminate the amount of time spent grinding and trying to collect as many blocks as possible. So let's head back to survival. Welcome back to the world. I've spent a lot of time here mining out a massive area which is going to be home to our dripstone farm. I'm thinking about setting the block of dripstone at this level and having the dripstone here with one slime block machine at this level and a bottom pusher at this level. I hope that this will be enough room to put all the dripstone here and for it to be a productive farm. The plan is that 2 slime block pushers, one up top, one up at the bottom, and a minecart system underneath will collect all the dripstone. Unfortunately, I only have 12 dripstone right now, so I can't really fill out the entirety of the entirety of this room, but I think the first thing I'm going to do is just set up a temporary manual farm right here. And as we continue through the episode, I'll start collecting some of this stuff, and it should be pretty good. Alright, this should be a good temporary farm here. I think that hopefully over this episode, some of this stuff will grow and we can set up some of the redstone stuff in the meantime. But I think this should be a really good start to our dripstone farm. Welcome back, guys. It's been about 2 days since the last clip, and I have been playing non-stop, having this running all day, every day. As it turns out, dripstone takes a long time to grow, but luckily I've started really filling out this area, and I'm happy to see that I'm starting to get results. So I think the next thing we want to do is figure out how to automate this dripstone. We need a system that does a few things. One, it needs to observe when the dripstone goes and grows to a certain place, so we're going to use an observer to observe this. Then it's going to send 2 flying machines, one up top and one up bottom, as it'll sweep all the dripstone into one collection area, and from that collection area we can pick up and store all those drops. So I want to start working on the slimestone machine here. It's going to be in the wall right up here, so let me grab some moss blocks. Moss blocks are the best new scaffolding in the game, much better than the actual scaffolding block. So we want to start creating a system that will allow this machine to start and stop from being here. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to clear out some of this dripstone because it's in the way. We want to make sure that there's room for the actual flying machine. All right, so we want to make the flying machine here, and this honey blocks will be at this level. So once we trigger this machine, it'll go all the way down to the other side, and we want to make a way so that it returns automatically. First, we want a blocker. So I'm going to use a furnace to block it. Then we have an observer, and that will go into redstone, and maybe another piece of redstone. So I'm going to put a target block right here, and that will lead directly into a piston. So when this piston fires, which I can simulate with a lever, the machine will send itself back, which is exactly what we want. I think this should work where I put the shroom lights on the end. And this should send and knock down all the... Oop, let me close this trapdoor. This absolutely made a mess of this water here, but it's looking really good. And it chopped down all the dripstone in one go, and then it sends it back. However, I gotta add the furnaces here, just so it doesn't yoink those blocks. So it's looking good in here. I got all the furnaces in place, and I want to get started on the second flying machine. All right, so if we trigger this, it should go all the way to the end, and push away all these torches and all the rest of the dripstone. All right, I got some zombies here. I want to see how much damage do these dripstone blocks actually do. Let's try to lure them over towards me. Don't move. It doesn't look like it does that much damage. Nah, they were still 2 hits, so it was like 1 hit. All right, I think it's time for a full-scale test of the dripstone farm. It's looking really, really promising, so I hope it has really good rates. Luckily, we'll be in this area a lot, so it'll always be running and always be loaded, which I think will help produce a ton of dripstone. So I want to show you guys the nitty-gritty of how this thing works. It starts off with this piece of dripstone right here. The observer will fire once the dripstone grows 3 blocks, and it powers this redstone line. This one redstone line powers this piston, which this is picked up by this observer, and it starts this bottom flying machine, while something very similar up top, where it fires this piston, which is observed on the other side of this block. Once these 2 machines fire, they both are sent along the other way, all the way to these return stations, and both return stations look the same. The observer detects once the flying machine docks in this area and sends a signal right into that piston, which immediately sends the flying machine back. Now, the blocks might either be on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the bottommost machine. So we have 2 collection areas, 1 on each side. I decided to put this actually on 2 different blocks because there was an issue I was noticing where if I have some honey here and carve out some area, let's say the dripstone gets pushed on this machine. Since the honey block is not actually a full block, it can get stuck on the lid. Oh, let me show this a little bit better here. Perfect. So we get stuck here. So that's why I had to make the channel down there too wide for both sides. But once that detects, it'll send all the drops into this one water stream here from that side, and then the other water stream is behind this bottom sweeper here, and it all gets funneled into this one block. So I think it's time to test this out. Let me just get some dripstone, and we'll get this observer to detect when this dripstone is grown. Both machines fire, and all of a sudden the dripstone starts falling from these machines, and it gets picked up. Some go on the left side, some go on the right side, and it should really work out here. I do need to finish the top of this little section here, fill it with water, and get the dripstone running, but I think we're pretty good for our first test of the machine. Now, there are some dripstone blocks that do get stuck up top, so I do want to see where they end up. Hopefully they don't get lost, but if we lose a few drops, I don't think it's too bad. And I have no dripstone in my inventory, so unfortunately those dripstone will get lost, but they all get funneled into this section, and that's 47 dripstone. Awesome. This machine seems really, really productive, and I'm super happy with how this turns out. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is decoration and storage. So I think there's going to be a bubble column somewhere here, and there's going to be a bunch of storage chests right here. But I want to really continue this theme that we've got going on in Narnia, with this overgrown, really lush, earthy tones. These dripstone farms remind me of deep, dark, kind of wet, dingy caves, and I want to really play around with light and lighting within this dripstone farm. So I want to have tinted glass where the only pieces of light shining through are going to be these shroom light blocks, and it's going to look like the cave is overgrown around the tinted glass. So it'll look very lush, very similar to what we have up here, going through, and you can just peek in to the dark, dingy dripstone farm. So I want to work on that. Let's hit time-lapse mode and get this build complete. And it's done. It's looking really, really similar to the previous cave up here, but I'm really happy with the way this turned out. And it's not actually done. I still have to do the back wall there, and I don't know if I'm super happy with this wall with the glazed terracotta, and, you know, there's some gaps here, but I feel like we're on the right track This would be totally dark, and just to see it backlit, I think will be really, really exciting. But also a lot of earth tones. We started to use sill sand, which I think really fits into this palette, as well as dripstone. We have the lightning rods as supports, as well as roots, and I think it turned out really, really nice. But I'm super, super happy with it. I think we could branch off from this area as well, and I have also reserved this area for a future expansion. One of the things that we changed is the glazed terracotta. I think that it looks much, much better. It fits into that earthy tone, and especially when it's going to be dark and dingy, I think it'll look really, really cool. I didn't really vibe with the furnaces. I think it was a little bit too much contrast. With the dark borders around the smelters, it really felt blocky and not as fluid and functional as the brown terracotta. I'm going to do the rest of this off camera. I think that we got an idea of how this will look, and then I'll do a lot of the finishing touches off camera here. But I'm really, really happy with the way that this has turned out. I think it's looking really, really nice. One final thing that we have to do is we have to wax some of these copper blocks. I think that it looks really, really nice in this weathered state. I don't think that the blue really fits into the theme of this build here. Right now we have all the barrels that will pick up the dripstone drops, but unfortunately I have not hooked it up yet. We still got a little bit from the build here. But I think once this is going to be more dramatically backlit, I'm going to get rid of a lot of those torches, and you'll see the one or two light sources coming from the dripstone. I think it will look really, really unique and really, really special. So I think that's about it for this episode. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.